Hi, we've teamed up with UK Auto Claims to see if you could be eligible to score thousands in compensation. If you've had any cars, vans or motorbikes on finance between 2007 and 2021, go to ukautoclaims.co.uk to start your free simple check. Loads of you will have overpaid and payouts could be worth thousands, so you've got to look into it. Hit up the link below and check now for free.
What's going on, people? Welcome back to AFTV. There's a bit of amateur there. I had the thumbnail, just hold it there. But we are here, even if I've worked here for many years. But it's me and James discussing, Thierry Henry has just been on the overlap. And listen, every time Thierry Henry speaks, I listen. He's one of my favorite players. I'm sure many others do as well. James, I know, has watched it as well. And he does a lot of podcasts. I actually, can sometimes recite a lot of the things he said word for word because he's someone that, as an Arsenal fan, I got into following him through. Yeah, I got following the club through Thierry Henry. But we're gonna go through a load of things. Obviously, yesterday is normally my slot. It was normally me and Curtis on a Tuesday, but that was covered yesterday by Marty and various other content creators that have been, on AFTV and regular. So let me just give a big shout out to Marty as well. He's been a real good guy, a real good addition to our team, actually, if I'm honest, in times when we have needed presenters, and that's a big up Marty. I know he was really excited to do yesterday's live, but today I am back. Curtis is unfortunately not with me, but that's not a problem because I've got James, this is how he started doing lives like this during COVID.
This is throwback content. It's
a classic. I've got James with me. Curtis is currently
what was that who was that midfielder? You butchered his name. Do you remember?
Who?
Calvin Harris.
Oh, you bastard! Yeah, since
that was some great moments.
I've had some good ones. Calvin Harris to the Calvin Phillips, absolute mad one. But Curtis is away today. He's playing at the Emirates Stadium. Nice. That's why, and I said that's a fair enough excuse. I'll let you have that one. That's not a problem at all. So Curtis is doing that. Obviously, I'm gonna give within the times I do lives, I like to do stories and whatnot. So let me just. Should I start with the stories and end with the Thierry? Do we end with the Thierry stuff? I think we start with.
Whatever you like. It's your show. I've just jumped on to help. I'm just here to just make up the numbers, have a little chat. It's like Declan Rice wasn't available, so we brought in Mikel Merino into midfield. That's what's happened with Curtis and I, and that's fine. I'll be the Mikel Merino. Do you need me up front? Do you need me in midfield? Whatever it is, I'm here. So go on, start with the story.
Okay. Let's do stories. I know Ryan's in the back. Don't be popping up anything without my permission. I've already got things ready loaded, but nothing else.
He's smiling. I can see.
I know. He's a devil. When I'm trying to just flex a little bit, he's there to bring me back down to earth. But let's start. Right. So let's just go with what we've had of the past week. So we'll start with Monday. Monday we had he's gone off camera now. He's probably going away to get some content, to dig some dirt. So let's go into this. So Monday was parade day, trophy lift. It wasn't a parade. We went down and watched the women lift the trophy, the Champions League. I'll be honest, that was a lovely moment. Do you know what? It kind of didn't irk me because it's their moment, but it just made me think like, what if the men won? And I know that's always what was going to go through the head. Of course, listen, it's a huge achievement for the ladies. And what I liked what Laurie said is it's their moment. It seems like they're doing it first a lot of the time. So for instance, I was at the women's Euros final. They won it before the men ain't won it yet. They won it before the men's. Everyone's looking at the men's team and saying, it's coming home, whatnot. Women went and done it. Phenomenal atmosphere. Unbelievable. They'll never forget that. Same with the Champions League. We're waiting for our Champions League title as followers of the men's game. The women have done it first again. It's something that, again, amazing achievement. I envy. It's the only English club to do it twice. Ever, actually. I know Chelsea have been trying to do it, but they're the only ones to do it ever. Massive, really nice atmosphere. Katie McCabe seemed very drunk and she's enjoying the celebrations. And the reason why I bring this up is because I'm flexing a little bit. I messaged someone and he was like, yeah, I was there. I was at the celebrations. And that man is Mr. David Dean. Big him up in the middle there. Yeah, crazy. He WhatsApped me.
Did he send you that picture?
Yeah. I can get up, actually.
I need to go through your WhatsApp one day.
It's crazy.
I'm serious. I need to just go through and see who you're chatting to.
Crazy.
Who chatting to on a daily basis. But
this is so he sent David Dean MB sent me. So he said, and he was just like, because I basically for context, I sent him a message to be like, I don't get to have story time much at AFTV, so I'm just giving this my gear, James, on the lives. So I sent a message basically half thanking him because he was actually a pioneer in a lot of Arsenal women taking the step to take it more serious, the women's game. And David Dean was a big part of that. I think he speaks about it in his book. I know Robbie Winnie speaks about it quite proudly. So I was just like, oh, this is an amazing moment. We're at the trophy lift, thinking he was going to be there, but then he sent me that photo. Like I was at the celebrations after party. The girls had a lot of fun, and I was like, I could tell because I said this morning they're here and they've got sunglasses on. I think a lot of the girls were kind of just either hungover or just enjoying doing what they deserve to be doing, enjoying the celebration.
Absolutely, man. And you know, it was we talked about the Forever Arsenal. It's you got to separate the club and the team sometimes. And what's been a really, really disappointing campaign for the men's first team has been a season in which there have been loads of highs for the club, and of course I think a lot of the sellout. The Emirates being sold out. I think the 59,000 and 60,000 came last season, to be fair. But look at the standard they set at that point in women's football in the Women's Super League. And then you've got them winning the Champions League for the second time. And then you've got the development of Ethan Waneri and Miles Lewis-Skelly. And you've got Miles going and doing what he's doing for England. And you've got Max Dowman, who I can't see enough clips doing the rounds on social media because of what he's doing for the under-17s and the reputation he had as a 14-year-old. He's now 15, and there's talks of him being in the first team next season. And then you look at that, and you look at this, I don't know whether it be the Thierry Henry interview or what Ian Wright does in the media. There's a lot to be proud of when it comes to this club. Like, that's one thing. And I always say, and there's also stuff not to be. It's a big football club. There's a lot that goes on.
Yeah.
But what's been a disappointing year for the men's first team has been also a period of time in which there's been lots of success stories for the club. And sometimes it's important to highlight those as well as just kind of going on and on about the failures that we discuss on a more day-to-day basis here on the main channel.
Yeah, you're spot on there, James. I mean, there's a lot of success and, like you said, things to be proud of. And that was the start of Monday. And I ended Monday with this.
Wow.
Come on, G. Come on, G. Sorry, I feel like this live, but I've got stories behind this. It's not me just flexing. I've got stories.
I can't believe Lewis Skelly asked you and Ian Wright for a picture. That is class, man. Fair play to him. Having the balls to come up to you and Ian and asking for a picture. Good on him.
I was fanboying hard, I'll be honest. I was like,
sure.
Do you know what's weird? Because so obviously I'll give people the content, and I asked a lot of questions because, well, I asked a few questions, and then I also around, obviously, because I want get a bit of insight where we can. Respectfully, I'm not going to go crazy on some things that were said because
I had to pop that up. Don't want to confuse him with the other David Deans.
Yeah. But I just had to make sure. Listen, I had to call him. Listen, respect to David Dean, man.
I'm surprised he's not in as Dino or something.
Imagine. Dave.
Yeah. There's Dave, and then there's Dave the rapper.
Yeah.
Probably David Beckham in there.
Dave Dean, Dave the rapper. Yeah, big up Dave Beckham. But but for real. So obviously, Miles Lewis-Skelly, big him up. He was at Baller League this week, and obviously I do a lot of some bits of Baller League, and he was like, listen, nice, like, it's finally good to meet you, which I was like, oh, nice, that's quite nice to say. But obviously, speaking with Marcy, his mum and stuff before, because we have businesses where we work with the youth players and also the families within football. But yeah, so we were sat talking. I spoke up, listen, I gave him props. I think that we done it on the channel already. There's videos coming out where we gave him, which is annoying because I wanted to be like, oh, what, you should watch this video where we just like talk about you. So I was like, don't do it, Cecil, it's too cringy. Because he's Miles Lewis-Skelly, to be fair to him, very cool kid. Or like, I know this, no one wants to talk about aura because we're a bit older. Me and you, James, same age. I think I don't know if it is kind of a younger thing, but he carries, I don't know, he holds himself well, actually. Let's do them how we would say it. Holds himself very well. So he's there like chilling. Josh Nichols is there as well. He arrives as well. Big up Josh Nichols as well. Obviously, we spent a lot of time with him in the States and his family in the last preseason. But Miles was just saying that Firstly, actually, let me speak about Josh Nichols. He's injured. I didn't know this. Josh Nichols is injured. He's been injured for most of this season because if people don't know, last preseason he was involved heavily with the team, the first team. Yeah, it was with the first team doing well, and he played actually. I think in just before the season started or early season, he was still involved in the first team squad, but he got injured. So I feel for him. I should have known that, but I didn't actually realize that. But I know he's on recovery because I asked him about this preseason where he'd be in Singapore and Hong Kong. He said it just depends how this injury goes. We're kind of nursing it back now. He spoke about. Mars Lewis Skelly spoke about how intense it's been this season. He said Arteta is very. He said we work, we do a lot because I said, are you on break? And he was just like, yeah. He says we kind of need it because it's been a lot. But he also said we know. Funny enough, I feel like all the players are being very accountable. Or the manager was. He said this season we like this will be it. And obviously that's him saying that. Obviously it's just words. Doesn't mean they're gonna end up winning the title in that. But I think he was very clear. He was just like, he looked at me. He was like, bro, I know. He said, but we all know it's like this season silverware. We know. So I was like, okay, that's nice to hear. Yeah,
I've no doubt the players and Arteta know that. You know, that's there's been so much criticism from me and many others on this channel about where we've gone right, where we've gone wrong. I have on one occasion for one particular game, and I think it might have been Brentford at home. I think it was the only time I actually questioned the application and the desire and the work ethic. Otherwise, that's never been in question. And that is a long way from where we were 5-6 years ago, where I really questioned the group and how much they cared. I don't have that with this group. So hearing it kind of reiterated, whether it be publicly or more behind the scenes, doesn't surprise me whatsoever.
It was to me, it was fascinating because I didn't actually ask him a question at this point. I kind of just was. Someone said I photobombed. I was kind of in that area around them, and he was like, bro, like he kind of just addressed it himself, which I said, okay, it's nice to hear. Obviously, it has to get done. There's a difference in saying it and doing it, but at least like you said, I'm glad that that's the first thing on his mind. I think when he kind of was looking at me, I was like, oh yeah, this. And then someone asked about. Funny enough, they asked about Max Dowman. They said someone next to him, one of our guys from SCS, was just like, is he really the truth? Like, is he really what the hype is about? And I got they was talking a lot about him. They were like, bro, basically both of them, I think Josh and Mars were very complimentary about the talent of what Max Dowman's going to be. I was speaking to a guy as well who's heavily within the agency system. And he said, Max Dowman has been offered by every major agency to try and get him signed, but he's being run by his dad. Obviously people can fact check me because this is coming from a third party or another source from a friend I know is heavily known in the agency game. But he said, yeah, his dad's managing him, but he said every super agent, it's not like Wasserman's and all that, which are big agencies. That's who Arteta's with. It's like the super ones. So the ones that signed Lamine Yamal, they're the ones that want Max Dowman. But he's they're basically saying at the moment on the table is so much big opportunities for the kid. They literally are dubbing him to be the greatest. When it comes to Lamine Yamal, they're saying Max Dowman is that level. And he said that Arsenal have, and I think I've heard this anyway, they've got the biggest gem in that academy, and that's him, which, like me and Curtis spoke about in our last live, there's a difference to being dubbed to be the next big thing and actually achieving it. There is, because there's a lot of failed people talking about Phil Feller's failed wonder kids, but and from my left, there's a lot of people that have a load of aspirations to be the next best thing and don't cross that line. Max Dowman feels different. Maybe that is my Arsenal bias, but it does. The videos you watch of him, it's like he is playing football in a way that no one else is on the pitch, the way he dribbles, where he glides and whatnot. But they are saying that, yeah, he is a super gem. And that Arsenal, I think they're doing a lot. He's not going anywhere. That's what they're all kind of saying. He's not going anywhere, which is a surprise to me because I think the Real Madrid, everyone's looking at him. Everyone knows about him. Clubs are wanting to get hold of him. But the way that the guy said he's not leaving Arsenal is like Arsenal maybe paying a crazy amount of money already for him, which I think they probably are. Listen, this is not factual, but from what I heard, and the reason why I'm saying that is because when you're under 16, there's a bit of there's red tape about paying players certain amounts of money and stuff, but there is ways of doing it. So I'm assuming that it might be what is going on behind the scenes with Max Dowman. But again,
I've never known hype around a player like this.
It's
not
crazy.
Arsenal. I've never known anything like it. And I wonder whether that is a case of making it quite public to show how appreciated he is and how we really are working towards getting him in that first team as soon as possible. What's too young, Cecil, is my question. I mean,
I don't
Yamal
know.
was starting for Barcelona and winning the Euros at 16. I think he turned 17 the day he scored, or the day after he scored in the semi-final, an unbelievable goal against, who was it, France? No, I can't remember who they played. Maybe it was France. Do you know what stands out to me when I watch his clips? And you've played the game. So have I, but not at your level. So you might be able to know, or at least explain better what I'm trying to say here. When a player, and I'm not saying he's not got blistering pace, by the way, I don't know. But when a player isn't like that Walcott speed, or you know what I mean? You know, there's kind of like really natural, God's gift speed, right? When they've not got that, yet they still relentlessly find a way past players. I find it such a special talent. Bernardo Silva is quite a good example of this. He's not rapid, but when he was put out on the right wing for Man City, and he played centrally the last 3 years, but I remember really about maybe 2018 to 2021, I think he played a lot of football out on the right wing, and he would beat his man. He was so skillful. He was so deceptive with the little movements, the little like drop of the shoulder. Where's he going to go? That through sheer skill, he worked spaces that he didn't through sheer physicality in terms of his pace or strength. And the clips that are coming out of Max Dowman at the England, they're playing for the England under-17s, which by the way in itself is an achievement of 15. I'm looking at him going, but you're not like Walcott fast. But these guys can't get near you.
They can't.
And that's what I find really fascinating. There's players that are taller and stronger than him that are rolling over him because they're trying to put pressure, but the way he's kind of using his body and his skill to kind of work away past them is really fascinating. There's an unbelievable natural talent and natural kind of use of the body at such a young age. I think he's looking incredibly talented, but it goes back to the question asked at the beginning of this all: what's too young? It is 15 and playing a part in the squad.
He did it with Ethan. I know he wasn't part. He did the Brentford debut.
Ethan got 3 minutes, and then we didn't see him in the league for the year after. But then, to be fair, then Ethan had a much bigger jump this year than I expected. He went from like 3 minutes to 15 minutes to 37 games or something.
Yeah, to filling in. Yeah.
So I think Dowman turned 16 in December. I think towards the end of next season, he'll make some first team appearances. Some, whether it be in the odd cup game, whether it be
you say by the end, or do you think
by the end of next season? I think as a 16-year-old, he'll start to make, like, as in a few more regular ones. I think if he's as good as everyone's saying, I think he'll come on for the odd 5 minutes in the league, maybe twice before he's 16, and then end of the season we might see him get a couple more appearances, like, a 5 minutes, a 10 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, depending how the season goes, he'll be signed. And then maybe in the 26-27 campaign, as a 16-year-old, he's actually in the squad. Like that is him now fully integrated. And at that point, Nwaneri will be a 19-year-old turning 20. Lewis Skelly will be a year older. You've got Erdegaard. We don't know who we've added, and let's see. But I mean, it's very exciting in that particular area of the pitch to have Dowman, Saka, and Nwaneri, who can all kind of hurt teams from very similar areas of the pitch. It'd be interesting to see what the 5-year vision is for Arsenal. I kind of would love to see what the 11 looks like 5 years from now, but obviously all focuses on this next campaign.
Well, this has opened up a lovely, opportunity to have this conversation on just like Mavericks in the game. Thierry Henry speaks about, when he went to Barcelona and he tried to do his own stuff, and Pep was like, I'm going to bench you next week. So we can go into that conversation as well. I also want to go in. There's a few things. Yeah, this leads nicely into that. It does lead nicely into that. But I have got a question because I listen, most of my conversations are around Arsenal every day. My friends, people, you stop in the street and you speak to. One, my friends, he's not on us. I was literally, before I come here, I was at one of my friend's shops and he was like, I made a bet. Yeah, I made a bet. Listen, he owns a good shop. They have money. More money than me. They said, okay, if Arsenal win the league next season, I'll give you $1,000. Right? Mad, right? Because I said I'm so confident Arsenal win the league next season. I should have
So you've made a bet that Arsenal will win the league in the 25-26 campaign.
Correct, but all I have to pay them back is £100. Yeah, if they don't. So hear this. So I said that to my mate, and then his mate who's also a friend of mine, but his mate who also works at the shop was like, I'm in on that. I'll do that. So I'll get £2,000 if Arsenal win the league. I'm glad I'm putting this on video because I can remember this as well. Someone will remind me of this. So it was like, and then after obviously pay £200 if we don't win it. But the reason I'm bringing this up because his question was, aren't you guys an old team? Like, are you not an aging team? I said, are you mad? I said, we're kind of in. I think we were the right balance of age to. I know, listen, age isn't everything to win the league, but you got like some a small minority of senior players. You got a good balance of 24 to 26 to 28-year-olds, which is we got a good blend of that, and then we got young, exuberant talent, which we're going to talk about creativity, and they need to flourish and maybe do their own thing in systems which Arteta may not allow them to. But we'll have a whole conversation about it in a second. But I think age-wise, and again, like I said, I know it doesn't win you the league, but when you look at the team, the average age, you're like, this is geared to really go on and do well. You've got senior players and you've got middle ground players and age-wise, and then you've got the youngsters. And we spoke about Max Dowman and the players that also can come through. Hopefully that's enough. So it's a question. I mean, do you agree like the age-wise is because when you asked me that, I was very like, it's a weird question to ask, but no, we've actually got the perfect age balance in my opinion.
Well, you can evaluate what Arsenal should be achieving in lots of different ways. You can say 3 years of going for the title, they should have picked up one. That's a reasonable expectation to have this squad. Yeah. We look at money spent, I think what we're capable of, what we did last season, how much we fell off this year, how rich our owners are, the lack of ambition in the last couple, 3-4 windows, I'd say, maybe 3 windows. You can look at the quality of player we believe we have in Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice, Saliba and Gabriel. We believe we've got really good players. You can also, though, flip it and say this is a squad who a manager 6 years into his career. He could have a 20, 30-year career in management, Mikel Arteta. So he's still very young as a manager. Bukayo Saka's 24? How old is he?
He's 24. Yeah, he's 24. Yeah, he could be 25. No, I think he's 24. Just double check.
Bukayo Saka is 23. My word. Geez. He's 23, right?
Blimey.
So I don't expect him
September
to start falling off for another 10 years. The point is, it's like, yeah, this is still a very young group and a very young manager and a very young team, but they should have done more in terms of trophy. That's something Henry spoken about. How have we not got to a final in the last 5 years, or since we won the FA Cup, but United have got to 5? These are these are very reasonable questions. It's something Henry said, and people took it as him being really critical of Arteta. I didn't hear his comments as him being really critical. I think he set a very reasonable standard for the club. He didn't say, how have you not won trophies? He said, how are you at least not competing? He didn't say, how are you at least not competing? Because we have been competing.
Yeah, but picking up trophies on the way when you're second best. I've said this so many times. Second best 3 times in a row. Sorry to jump in. You have to pick up trophies on the way. If you're,
of course you do, but that's not what Henry.
I
haven't watched all of it. I'll be so honest, right? So he might have gone on and said that. But the main point I think he was making was the demands and expectation are you always compete. We have no divine right to win anything. But I think he's right to really flag, why have we not been in any finals for 5 years?
Yeah.
Why we didn't push Liverpool this year. He said that. That's something the fans have been saying too. And I thought he spoke really well without being disrespectful, because I don't think a lot of people thought he was kind of being maybe taking the piss out of Mikel when he said that's a tall building. That's a lot of building we've been doing. It's a tall building. but he's right. It's not. There's nothing wrong with what he said. I think what he was saying was, yeah, there has been a lot of really good work done, but at some point there needs to be something more tangible to show for it.
Right.
And that's nothing that the fans haven't said. Sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes you want your legends to come out and really defend the club. But that's not, I don't think that's where we are. I think when we were a young team that fell away in the title race, we needed our legends to defend us. And go, hold on, no one's expecting to challenge. Add some players, and a year on you go again. Maybe when you take City to the final day, again, but this is a situation where the standards need to be upheld, and it's people like Thierry Henry that do that. And I thought he spoke really well in a lot of that interview. And I thought he was fair. I don't think he said anything that was disrespectful or particularly like rude about Mikel's work. I think he said, yeah, great. And now that was how I took it.
Yeah, I think Listen, Thierry Henry, I think, always speaks really well. I think the only time though we might slip, well, he didn't even slip up. Ever obviously leaked when he said about I turned off Arsenal when I saw Xhaka with the captain's armband. I think that was ever just being a bit well.
But even if he said that, I mean, behind closed doors, like people do say things in a more like it's whatever.
Yeah, but
basically, if he were on camera, he probably would have said, "Look, I'm not sure Granit Xhaka is the captain Arsenal need."
yeah,
And it's the same thing. It's just said in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, that was probably a conversation behind closed doors that obviously ever leaked. But then apart from that, I listen to Thierry Henry speak all the time, and we're gonna now we'll transition into the conversation from what he spoke about in the overlap. I listened to a lot of his podcasts, a lot of his words. He always talked, he spoke about his father. He spoke about his father recently as well on CBS. We spoke about that briefly. He spoke about his demands and that Michael Jordan effect. He has to he plays the game angry. He plays the game like he's pissed off because that's how he gets the best out of himself. He has to prove himself. He speaks about it a lot. Like he was always trying to prove his dad wrong. And then on top of that, he always wants to prove other people wrong. Fascinating story about him leaving, I think, Monaco, and he was like, they wanted to put him on loan or whatnot, and I think he just felt disrespected and was like, I don't think it was Monaco, it was an Italian club actually, I think, and he just said, I'm going, or he's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna go. But how he speaks is phenomenal, and I'll be honest, we're gonna delve deep into a few things because my dream to get him on AFTV, I've said it for a while. There's a few dreams I've got with AFTV. That's one of them. But for now, we can just analyze the kind of what it was Juve. Thank you, Ryan. It was Juve. But yeah, we can analyze what he said. But I think I'm going to pick out key little bits. So we can start with creativity because he spoke about, when he went to Barcelona. It's funny how he said, like, I was playing out on the left, Eto'o on the right, which to me is, I remember that, but I didn't realize Eto'o was on the. I didn't realize he played on the right, and obviously Messi in the 9, but. Maybe because obviously they rotate and they do what they play kind of fluid. But he was like, and then he obviously asked, "Did you like that?" And he goes, "Of course not." And they spoke about, there's things he wants to do, and Roy Keane kind of pushed him and said, "Did you do like Thierry Henry things? Did you express yourself? Do you want it?" He's like, "I couldn't." And he goes, "And what happens if you didn't?" He goes, "Well, I'll be benched the following week." So, and Pep has had a big influence on the game because I look at football now, I watch football and think there's a lot of that. There's a lot of listen, it feels system based, but to delve deep into it, it's like, okay, I've spoken about this before. I think managers nowadays, especially the top managers, will say, if we do this, this is the outcome. If you don't do this, this is what will happen. That may have happened a few times, then the players buy into it. So when you go against that, of where you want to do in whatever third you are of the pitch, managers don't like it, and they feel like, okay, well, if you're not going to listen, I'll bring someone in that can listen. And I've had that in my career, actually. My manager say, if you're not going to listen, I'll just bring in a player that can. I'll get a trialist in that will listen to what I'm saying. That breaks my heart a little bit. And when I got told that, I was like, yeah, I'll play where I need to play, but let me go and be creative when I'm in my positions up front or in the box. But it feels like the game's going a different way now. It's very influenced by Pep. And he obviously, he also speaks about Messi being Messi. He's funny. He says like, I was Michael Jackson at Arsenal and then I'm Tito, which I think is amazing. Yeah, I'm part of the team, but I'm not the guy. And sometimes you got to let Messi do what he's got to do, and you run for him because he does what he does. He proves. That's what he kept saying. Is like, if you can back who you are, then you do that. And I think that was a good thing, a really good breakdown of how he felt when he was at Barcelona. There wasn't really a question in that, James. It was just more like the whole.
Do you think we get bogged down by football these days and things like that? And don't get me wrong, I understand the criticism. I agree that flair and kind of natural, instinctive, what's the word? Yeah, well, the word is instinct. It's kind of sapped a little bit from players in the game at the moment. But I just feel like the game goes through, it evolves. I mean, there's a famous, Sean Dyche was on Monday Night Football, I think he said a while ago. He said, people talk about what's entertaining football. I'll tell you what people always enjoy: lumping the ball up to the big man who flicks it onto a midfielder who smashes it in the back of the net. It's like, it's true. When have we not loved football like that? Yeah. And he was on commentary, I think, when Palace scored a goal like that to win the FA Cup. Long into Mateta, hold up, out to Munoz, who then cuts it back for Eze. It's really simple. It's effective. It's long ball. Pep Guardiola won the Champions League, adopting more long ball into his game. He decided not to press Onana in the Champions League final. He didn't feel it was worth it. He went for more of a mid-block structure. And then to beat Arsenal and actually put that run together, get the best out of Haaland, they went more direct to him. Yeah,
to Haaland, into Kevin De Bruyne. Then he scored that goal.
David Raya, whenever he gets the ball, he pings it out wide to Havertz or Bukayo Saka. That the game constantly evolves. You've had your Wenger era of free-flowing relationism football. For anyone who doesn't know what relationism, it's allowing the players on the pitch to figure out via their intelligence and natural understanding of what to do on the game, how to find a way through a team. Whereas positionism is all about the structure and the coaching of the team, finding the solutions. Now, Fabregas is a manager who has spoken often about the game going in a way that he feels isn't expressive enough. And now he's doing well at Como, and big clubs are looking at him, and maybe he brings something back. The game will just constantly change and constantly evolve. I just think, there are certain principles that will stay. Pep, actually, I say that. I mean, Pep last season had Gvardiol and Walker bombing down the line like Robertson and Trent.
Yeah.
And he had Foden, Bernardo, De Bruyne all floating behind Haaland. The game will constantly evolve. I think there's definitely more instruction and there's more tactics and there's a mental overload for players. I agree with that. But I think the reason I don't think that will ever change is because managers have got too good. The game has become too analyzed. The game is there's too much. I can access data. We can all access data. People are, these scouting teams will know so much about every player, every movement, every set piece, everything. And the reality is, if there's going to be the sheer amount of content there is in the media space here on YouTube, out on Sky, whatever it might be, that is going to create an increasing pressure on the players and the coaches to get every single meticulous detail right, because they're being scrutinized on every single one.
Yeah.
When we go on T&Cs, we got behind the scenes access for training when Calafiori was announced. Remember? Do you remember seeing the team of people that were there? The team of Arsenal staff.
There's so many people in there.
And how many different pictures they split on to do different exercises. You had Gabriel pinging it to the left winger. That was just one exercise. Him and a coach pinging it to the left winger. Then you had a mini game going elsewhere. Then there was the Calafiori stuff going on as he was being announced and he was doing certain training. He was maybe taking on some early tactical understanding. There's just so much. And I don't think I saw Mikel on the pitch. So who knows what he was doing. So he eventually came back on. Actually, no, we did see him, but he was away.
He was away walking around the side,
The detail in the game now is unbelievable. I don't think that will change, but I think styles will constantly evolve.
But you're right. And there was a recent podcast I listened to. They were saying they have so many stats for everything now. How many, how much distance you've covered, how many sprints did you make in a game, how much every fine running detail. I'm not talking about your touches and everything. I'm talking about just running alone. There's so many metrics around it, and it's funny. I don't love that. I mean, it's going to be in here, and I remember it's going to be in the game. And I think I was listening to quite a few things recently, and I was like, well, I don't know, is Alexis McAllister was he was top for so many of these metrics, of these stats. I'm just like, he probably was, but on the eye, I didn't think he was amazing, but he must have been really good this season. But they were he was first for this. I was thinking, blimey, there's so many stats now. And like you said, people are going to just challenge to try and be at the top of everything. But that worries me. So if people like Max Dowman, who I think is a bit of a maverick, even though he's not there doing Neymar stuff, the way he dribbles with the ball and glides and uses his turn to change of pace, I hope that all stays. I hope the bravery, him being young, he'll have bravery to take on a man. But I hope
a good structure can let a maverick thrive. And I think there's a balance there. Phil Foden last season, Kevin De Bruyne over years under Pep, Bernardo Silva, Sergio Aguero, Leroy Sané, Raheem Sterling. Yes, there was a system, but I never felt that they were players that were within themselves because of the way Pep plays the game.
Well, then, that's true. But my question is, not even my question, but another angle of it is so wingers nowadays. Thierry, I'm leading in this from what Thierry Henry said. When there's space behind, why are you not beating your man? Why? And even now, I sit in the stadium and I say, why are you not running? Why are you not trying to beat him? But then that might be down to stats of keeping the ball position. And I'm a bit of a hypocrite because I love when Saka. I love how well he keeps the ball. His ball retention skills are amazing. He can either go on the inside or outside, but he keeps the ball. He's very safe. He's not beautiful in the eye where he's doing a step over and ripping you. Even though the old I don't know mentality of football that I love to see is screaming, run past him. I love Saka because he's so smart in. I don't have to run past him. I can dribble the ball, keep the ball, and use my body and keep us in possession to make a more of a threatening opportunity. Pass it maybe into Martin Odegaard. But then I'm also like, when you got a winger, Saka, why don't you just burn him? Why don't you just?
Saka's a great example of a player I was saying earlier. He has more pace than Bernardo Silva, but he's not, again, like lightning fast. It's in his ability to, use his strength, his timing of when to go, the fact that the defenders don't know if he's going left or right. Do you know on Thierry's quotes about why doesn't the winger beat his man more often?
Yeah.
I will say, who the hell am I to question Thierry on that?
Go on, question the king. Do it. Do it. Do it. Say Thierry down the lens. What will you?
The last thing I ever do on AFTV.
Question the king. Do it. You can. Do it.
There must be a reason why, because Gary was agreeing. There must be a reason why Pep went towards Grealish's and Bernardo's and Foden's out wide. Now, to be fair, he's now gone back to more Savinho's and Doku's, but his most successful season was with that creative 10 profiler winger. And they didn't, to be fair, they did beat fullbacks on the outside. But they didn't always take them on. But also, dare I say that teams prepare for it? Like, centre-backs come across and the 6 drops in. I don't know. I guess... by the way, I actually don't disagree with Henry. I think he's right. I think they don't do it enough. I sort of think there must be a reason why they don't, because sometimes we see a patch of grass, we'll like just go for it. But maybe they're not good enough. Maybe wingers aren't as good these days.
No, right. So sorry, people, but I'm gonna do this. I have conversation with my boys, and this is where I'm getting into my bag now. Because what do you mean? These players, you have to back yourself. Sure, like you're a winger, and the game's changing, and it baffles me because you're right. It's like there must be a reason for it, but I don't know what supersedes the fact that you should be able to beat your man. You should be able to just say, I'm a winger. My job, game may have changed, but my job should be to line up my fullback. Saka can be different because sometimes they get doubled up on, but there's plenty of opportunities where I watch Arsenal and I see him one-on-one. I think just beat him. And like Thierry said, it only has to happen once, you know. Well, yeah, no, majority. Well, yeah,
I like that point. I like what he said. He basically was like, keep going, because if you just get it right once, then boom,
that's a goal. And maybe I'm naive. Like you said, why are we questioning the Peps and the Artetas? Because they might be saying, well, if he plays it inside and this person moves, then there's an opening here. But I'm like, football one-on-one, which I think is very much being coached out the game. Even though, listen, I'm like I said, I'm regular at Baller League. That's why I had the photo, and I see one-on-one opportunities. And even sometimes then, players are too scared to take on their man in case they lose it in transition. They go on the other end and score. But I just think in 11 aside, if you're one-on-one with your man in their half, there's such a long distance to maybe be dispossessed of the ball and then they go up and score the other end. So I don't know why wingers aren't naturally doing that, in my opinion.
I just think that's Thierry's opinion on the game, and it was the type of player he was. He'd want to run at people, and I think if you're agreeing with Thierry, which I am in a lot of ways, then you could argue that you're maybe questioning Pep when he does want the winger not to. And by the way, I'm not saying Pep doesn't want it. I'm just let's assume Pep is more about ball retention than he is, always beating a fullback. And by the way, he's had wingers that do destroy their fullback, so he probably likes different versions. And it depends on the team, it depends on the system. Sometimes it's Gvardiol, £80 million centre back, doing the job for him. But someone like David Beckham might say, forget keeping the ball and cutting inside. Forget beating my fullback. Get onto my right, whip into the box immediately.
Half a yard whip it.
So from that area of the pitch, you can do 3 different things. Is it early cross? Is it beat your fullback? Is it keep it moving?
That's it. But
there's lots of different approach to the game. On that, what I loved about what he was saying was a really good winger is the one that can go around the outside. I totally agree with that. Sorry to jump in. Can I pop? Yeah. So because we're doing winger talk, let's pop up the
there's a
We're going
quality.
to talk about Alvarez at any point.
Yeah, we have to. I know it's come quarter. It's going to be after
literally the title.
I've got to do super chats as well. I had that discussion with Doku and the national team. Very interesting because you do this, which is standing up his man, to see what you're doing because you're cooking here. I call it cooking. You're cooking here, but you see the movement of your number 9, but you do this, which is he looks down. So he's obviously not seeing the movement of the run path of his 9 because he's looking down to try and beat the man. You don't even know what's happening, he goes on to say. When the striker's inside the box there, you don't need to dribble past someone to give a cross. You don't need to dribble past someone to give an assist. And he obviously, you mentioned David Beckham. He was the best at getting half yard and whipping in. But go on, what was you going to say about he was on the winger talk?
You know what's interesting about this is I actually think Arteta probably agrees with Henry, by the way, on the winger front. Arteta has almost always used wingers to we filter a lot of our football down those sides. Filmed a show with Graham that's coming out. It might be in the next week or so. But that was all about looking at Arsenal's style over the last season. The wing play is something Arteta really channels. He wants us to play out wide a lot. So I think Arteta probably agrees with Thierry on that.
Does he want us to play out wide a lot or just go down that right side a lot?
No, I think it's wide. I think it's wide.
It's full wide play. You think he's looking at wide play as a whole, yeah? Not just.
I think it was Alex on the different knocks said something that I hadn't even clocked. I thought it was genius, and it might be wrong. I don't think it is. He was saying if you look at a football pitch, just imagine that my screen is the football pitch. Not really. There we go. Imagine you're playing out wide in this area here. If you lose the ball there, the team trying to play out is already pressed from the touchline. They can't go that way. So you're condensing them into that space, basically, rather than losing it in the middle, but there's basically a 360-degree angle of where they can go. If you lose it in wider areas, you're more likely to win the ball back, from them in that area of the pitch, because already there's so many limited areas where they can go. I found that quite interesting. And Arsenal are one of the best teams at winning the ball back in the league.
Yeah, it's interesting, but depending on the level of the team, I mean, you can switch play, but you'd have to. It's hard.
But these managers do think about they think about what happens after they lose the ball, even though they have the ball. So Pep Guardiola apparently, I can't remember who told me this. Apparently, Pep Guardiola wanted City in one game to attack Wan-Bissaka, not whoever it was, the Man United left back. And everyone was like, why would you do that when Wan-Bissaka is the better defender of the two? And it was because he's worse on the ball than the other fullback. Yeah. Therefore, if they did lose it to him, they were more likely to win it back. Which is that's like 5-6D football. I mean, what are we doing here? So I think they do think about those things. I mean, I've got a very poor grasp of that kind of stuff. I'm not going to pretend I do. I'm regurgitating information, but
that's not.
I think that might be Arteta's wing play stuff.
Well, that's brilliant. I mean, don't put yourself down. You understand the game well. I've done a lot of talking around.
Let's do super chats. 5 minutes on Alvarez and change the title.
Sorry, I always do this. I always think we're never gonna have enough time, and then we ramble. But we're talking football. Adam Greet says thanks to Cecil for chatting outside Southampton before the game. Appreciate it. What about Semenyo left? I'd love Semenyo left wing. Who else you guys want to see? Well, just quickly, I'll try and keep it brief. Semenyo. I love these lies. I can actually talk. I have a friend. I keep saying it. James Hill. He's at Bournemouth. He's the defender at Bournemouth. Young centre back. I used to mentor him. I also have a guy called Daniel Jebinson, who's a striker at Bournemouth, who I'm going to be seeing next month as well. But I haven't spoken to him about Semenyo. I spoke to James Hill about Semenyo. He said in training, the guy is a joke. He's so comfortable on both feet. He's not going to be here long. He accepts that. This was, by the way, this is when we played them. We played them quite early on in the season. This is obviously the red card and to Saliba and that. So big up James. Actually gave me tickets to that game. But he was talking about Semenyo and just said literally he gives us a headache in training. He's at a top level. But funny enough, I look at a lot of the Bournemouth players that actually not surpassed him this season, but they had really good seasons. So, but at that time he was saying Semenyo is the one that won't be here long. So I'd love him. I looked at Mark Gahey. I looked at the fact that he his contract's up next year, and I was like, I want him. I wanted him before, but now I'm like, okay, I know we got a good centre back pairing. It's interesting. Would he come and be a?
I think we need a right-footed defender. I think we need a right-footed defender who's comfortable left centre back too. I think I think there's every chance we might enter the conversation for Mark Gay. Is it really a year left on his contract?
Yeah, he's 2026 is up, and he hasn't re-signed, he hasn't signed a new deal yet, so he can be in talks with teams. He's been linked to Newcastle. I did all this prep before because I was really, I'm trying to figure out who I actually want to see. I wanted to see Eze as well. We're not going to get Eze, but if you throw in, if the club, you can get him. I just don't think we will. But Eze and Mark Gay, I know there's the Palace players there, but I'm really a fan of those players. I want someone in the 10. I like Mark Gay, and then Alvarez and probably a winger, but we can talk about that at another time. But thank you for that super chat. I appreciate it, Adam, and I'm glad I spoke to you up before the game. Mr. Kaplan, that's Simon as well. He sent me a message, James. He's saying about you earlier as well. But I said James is on his health kick at the moment. He's going gym. He's looking slim. He's looking strong. This isn't the super chat, but he messaged me privately. I'm just letting him know here. His super chat says, "Big up."
I wouldn't say looking strong, but appreciate it.
Big up to the panel. Mikel needs to start using the young lads, otherwise we'll lose them. I fear Ethan would sign again. They need his confidence now. Yeah, the Ethan thing's still baffling me a little bit, but I'm going to try and get the juice around that from some people.
I wouldn't worry. I think it's all fine. There's a lot of people online who are saying, listen, it's all nonsense. He's happy and we can just get on and enjoy.
Okay, that's good to know. Black Hole is just says, wouldn't say no for Alvarez move, but this is not the first transfer we should have on the list. Urgency to seal a proper striker should be first. Right, it's time.
Yeah, I think we need to talk about that now. On that, I think we need to.
Yeah, we're on Alvarez. We're on Alvarez, and then we got to throw in Sane because City Sterling. I just want to have a whole breakdown of are these players. I love Sane, and we played against Bayern, obviously, but I'm also like Sterling. I love Sterling. He's been at Arsenal. He's not the same Sterling. But let's go Alvarez. Let's start with Alvarez. James.
People say a proper striker.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Yes.
Like, why is Alvarez not a proper striker? He leads the line for Argentina, doesn't he?
He does.
He's got 29 goals for Atletico Madrid this year. He's played for Diego Simeone and Pep Guardiola, two of the best managers in the world. I don't really because he's not 6'2". Is that actually the reason? I don't know.
I mean, he's more.
I'm confused.
I don't know. Do you know what it is? I got to talk about how like Pep moved away from the natural number 9 and now has reverted back to it with Haaland. And it feels like
what's the natural number 9?
I guess what people in their heads is big, physical, ugly goal scorer. So I think, do you know what? Do you know what? This is a good question because when I was playing, the profile of Didier Drogba was what everyone wanted. All the scouting, and I knew this. I probably had a good career because at the time that was when they were like, we want. They obviously didn't say it like this. I'm just gonna say it like this: big, black, strong, and physical, and can score goals. And to me, that's the Drogba model, and that was what I think people associated themselves as that is the key number 9. That's a striker. However, you are right. Thierry Henry, he's all of that, but to me, he is the greatest Premier League striker. But he's different to Drogba to me. He's different to Haaland. He's different to those sort of players. Salah is not a striker, okay, he's a winger, but he scored that many goals. He's more recent, but I wouldn't say you wouldn't go, that's a proper striker, but he scores that many goals. So what the hell? Alvarez. I actually wanted Alvarez a while ago when he left City. I said, I don't know why we didn't go for him. I should be on record. But yeah, you're right. People are complaining he's not.
But Thierry's the one who just said he wants him. Like, I'm reading the comments here. There are people going, Thierry spitting facts about Arsenal, blah, blah. Cool, fine. And then that same guy comes and tells us, not just some guy, Arsenal legend, our greatest ever player, comes out and goes, Julian Alvarez. And it's like, well, why are we not listening to that?
Do you think Turks should be happy with that? Do you think if Arsenal said, if it said Arsenal were linked before Thierry said it?
I actually have no idea. I actually haven't asked him. I put it in the Forever Arsenal group. Jordan and Lee like him, but I don't think they were like, yes, 100% bring him in. But I'll ask again. 29 goals this season. Good age, always fit. That's something that Henry mentioned. He's played for Pep Guardiola and Man City. He's won the Premier League. He's played for Atletico Madrid and Diego Simeone. He's won the World Cup. He's won Copa America, no? I think he has.
Yep, he has. Argentina,
leads the line for. There's a lot of pressure to lead the line for Argentina.
Finalist as well.
I don't know what. By the way, I don't think we'll sign him because I don't think he'll go. I think he'd cost 100 million to do it, and I think he's only just arrived at Athletic. Maybe in a year that's doable. I think Liverpool's a shout for him, but now they're getting Verts. I don't know if they're going to do 200 million type signings, but maybe they are. So all this to say, I don't know what people are looking for here. I don't. If he was 6'3", no one would say anything about it.
Yeah.
But have we not played our best football when it was a Jesus type dropping into midfield? Even Havertz, I know 6'3", 6'4", but he was actually seen as more of a midfielder type before he became a striker. I'm just not, and that's not me going, yeah, he's the answer. Definitely get him over Gyökeres. I'm just saying, I don't know why people just kind of go, nah. I don't. Because he's ex-Man City, maybe.
We've been brainwashed. You're right. We've been brainwashed. The whole Haaland, physical. I think we're so in need of a Gyökeres. So, no, we're not even in need of it. We think we're in need of Gyökeres or Sesko. Their profiles are big and strong and fast. Same with, to be fair, Havertz is, I know you mentioned Havertz, but he is that profile of big.
He uses his body. Yeah, we use him in that way. I agree.
So that's why fans are like, well, we need that example.
I hear that.
Of course, but you're not wrong. Jesus, when he was playing, yes, look at that. I don't even say anything.
I don't. And do you know the other player I put in this list? I did a video on the Gooniverse, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, James, Bryan Mbeumo, man, he's got 20 league goals."
Robbie's pushing for him as well.
And let me please say that I think Rodrigo's a better player than Bryan Mbeumo. Okay, let me just say that. I think Nico Williams is too, probably, from what I've seen. But their numbers are not great. They're playing for 2 Champions League sides in La Liga, albeit maybe a bit out of position. And they've got, I think Rodrigo's got 6 league goals, and I think Williams got 5 league goals. And Mbeumo, playing for Brentford, has got 20 league goals this season. So I'm not saying that's the answer, do that deal. I'm saying, why do we turn our nose up at that? When will we learn from Liverpool signing Jordan Henderson and Sadio Mane and Andy Robertson and realize that there's value in the not mega headline signings? I just want top players. I don't care whether they come from 13th in the Premier League or, a team going for the Champions League, a European club. I don't really care. I just want quality players. But I think we are a little bit this season hyping major pressure on it having to be a Gyökeres because of his numbers. Or go on, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that, is it because as well the plan B doesn't look, we haven't got that. I mean, as in like we haven't got a physical, because we haven't got a physical number 9 where we can ping the ball into to change the style of play. We have a Jesus, a Trossard, a player that can play that Alvarez role. I know he's not Alvarez Trossard. I know that, but there is you could put similarities to them a bit. I like, even though listen, I want Alvarez. I think there's an argument in it. I just think the fans might be thinking, I want to go back, because we are being brainwashed a little bit, to that physicality side of the game where it's a different style of play. Arsenal
I want to be more entertained, man. I want midfielders that can turn. I want midfielders who can carry. I want strikers who can make little darts in behind, who don't need a lot of space to drop a shoulder, and work a shot. That's what I want in the team. I want that a lot more. I'd actually think we've been too physical recently. I actually think if our game plan is to get it wide and whip it into the box, like Marino and Havertz do that. I'm not saying they're brilliant at it. I'm not saying they take all their chances.
Not the best.
But I'd argue we kind of have that. I don't. Yeah. And look, again, it's all to say, I'm sort of just, what I'm doing is I'm opening the conversation up more than I think it really is amongst Arsenal fans here. I'm not saying yes, Alvarez over Gyökeres. I don't. I want to spend this summer watching a lot more of those players, getting some real tape on them, and getting a really good idea. Look at the numbers in good detail. We'll obviously do content around it. Graham and I are doing tactical insights throughout the summer with Nick. So we'll talk about these players in good detail. But just my initial feeling on it isn't to rubbish anything. Whether it's Gyökeres and his numbers being in Portugal, I don't see why that should be a problem. Whether it's Sesko because he's a bit raw and younger, I don't really think if that's the guy, I'm not going to use that against him, or whether it's Alvarez because he was at Man City before he went to Atletico. I think those are criticisms you can level at all three players. The reality is, I think whichever one we get, we'd end up with a really, really top striker.
Alvarez has been in the Premier League, which I'm always biased. I like Premier League proven, and he's done it in the Premier League. James, give me your 1, 2, 3 of them. Your you said you don't mind any of them, but give me the 1, 2, 3.
Do you know what? It wouldn't have been like this until I heard Thierry speak, but it'd go Alvarez, Gyökeres, Sesko.
People in the chat, it's your time. 1, 2, 3.
And if you're coming for me, you're coming for Thierry, by the way. I want you all to know that. Come for me, you come for the king. Because I'm the king, because the king said the same thing. So before you all start having a go, yeah, there we go. That's as good. That's a proper veil.
Don't hide behind Thierry. Don't do that. You're better than that. Don't hide behind Thierry. I want João Pedro, and now I want João Pedro. I'm going to say Thierry Henry wants him as well. So don't come for me. Come for the king. But he doesn't. I'm just making it up. But I like João Pedro. But also, it's funny because I look at player I really want as well is Jota. Injury record's horrendous. But when I look at Nunes and Jota, I always say, listen, Jota to me is a phenomenal player. I think I'd pick him over that profile player every time. I think I like those intelligent strikers. I like the ones that quick movements, quick no backlift, good shot.
What were they saying about Jota when they signed him for 45 million? What? Why this guy? What? He literally did the Mane deal 2-3 years before, and we hadn't learned from it. And everyone's going, it's like, Jurgen Klopp knows how to sign a forward, funnily enough. Look at Gakpo and Diaz looking brilliant now for Slot. And what does Slot do? Rather than trying to sign a striker or make Nunes that guy, cool. Well, he worked with Jota, he worked with Diaz, he worked with Gakpo, good coaching. You three are going to make it work out of two positions in the false nine on the left. The focus is on getting Salah into the areas he needs to get into. Saka's been putting up mega numbers. What if we have a top facilitative striker? Because if I offered you all next season the Gabby Jesus of the first 4 or 5 months, maybe not everyone, because he still wasn't a clinical goal scorer. But a lot of people would be like, "Oh, I'd love to see that player back. It's unbelievable. Look at the football we played. Look at the run we were on. 50 points after 19 games." So what I'm saying is, Arsenal must sign a player who can lead the line. But I'm not wedded to the profile being 6'3", 30 goals a season guaranteed.
That's never
brute of a striker who basically his job is to hang around in the penalty area till the ball comes to him. I don't think we're very good at getting the ball to the penalty area. I think we need work actually doing that, and sometimes that comes from your striker.
Do you think? I mean, we get to their box, to the penalty
touches. We get
to their box, but
high volume touches, high volume crosses. I don't think we're good at it. I think we are regular attempters.
I will defend Arsenal because teams know how to stay set up in a low block, and to get to the box and play fluid football against a low block is hard in that area. So it kind of resorts to you either spamming it into the box from crosses. It's really hard. It's really hard to get a player to leave. That low block setup, and then you exploit that space. It's tough. So
if I'm not mistaken, Cess, we scored 69 goals. So City scored more than us. Liverpool scored more than us. Newcastle 1 behind. Brighton were only 3 behind.
Is that in total? In total, yeah.
We scored 69 goals, and I went through this with Graham today. We scored 91 last season. Like, it's a huge drop.
Yeah, it's a big drop.
So yes, teams might be defending us better, but they were trying to defend us last season too. So yeah.
Okay. We want to go and watch the Chelsea game. I'm sorry.
I'm going to put it on here.
Time has flown. Sorry, let me read the super chats to finish.
You read the super chats. I want to get the game on.
Go on, James. All right, you've helped me out, and I've kind of killed you because I said I will finish early. But we've been talking a lot. Danny, during this, we were talking about Alvarez. Danny's come at all of us here. You're really talking about Alvarez when Victor is clear. Y'all just love to hear yourself talk all this waffle. Well, all right, blame the king, yeah? Let me read his quote.
But that's my point.
Thierry Henry said, one of my favorite 9s out there at the moment is Julian Alvarez. So, Danny, you're going against the king's word, mate. That's what you're saying. He also goes on to say, we've been talking about it. Sorry, James, putting pressure, playing it long, whatever you want to do. Did you see his free kick he scored the other day? He then goes on to say he can hold the ball long. He played at the Olympic Games. He played in the Copa America. He doesn't say he's tired. Hopefully nothing bad happens to him. He's played everything. And and the way he plays it, I just like him. Is it possible? I don't know. But if Danny,
But
I mean,
Danny, look, appreciate Super Chat and you tuning in, but you know, to say you all like to just hear self-talk waffle, you're disagreeing with Thierry Henry. Do you know what I mean? Like all we've done is discussed what he has said and entertained it. And you know, look, I've seen another one. Geoglyph, is Henry a scout now? Oh, if we cannot listen to the greatest Premier League striker of all time for his opinion on strikers, then what's the point us doing any of this? What's the point any of you 1,400 tuning in right now to listen to us? What the fuck do we know, Cecil? If Thierry Henry can't give an opinion on strikers, right? It's all opinions. And you know what? If you think Victor's a better player, Victor Gyökeres, that's fine, Danny. That's absolutely fine. But you can't sit here saying we're waffling about a guy who's got 29 goals playing for Atletico Madrid, who's playing for Pep Guardiola, who made an £80 million transfer only last summer. Come on, let's have some good. Okay, he's come back. I think he's replied, Danny. Go on, what was he said? I think he sent another super chat in just now.
There we go. Why listen to him blind
when he's failed as a coach? Love the king, but he's wrong here. But he didn't fail as a striker. Like we're not talking about his opinions on Arteta as a manager. We're talking about his opinion on Julian Alvarez as a striker. So what he failed as a coach, he could fail as a chef. I don't give a shit. The point is he was a striker. I don't really know what your point is here, Danny. With all due respect, thank you for the super chats, but you're talking nonsense. I love you. Keep tuning in, but I don't know. This is the one area Thierry knows what he's talking about. No,
and do you know what the best thing about this is, Danny? Yeah. This is what makes me. I'm laughing because, listen, like I said, I watch Thierry and everything he says. Every time he utters a breath, I know what he said. He failed mainly as a coach because he does things with the ball and he's confused by the players that he's coaching can't do the things that he's trying to teach them or trying to tell them how to do it. He speaks about it all the time. Spoke about when he was coaching. It's like it got frustrating to him. So he's taken time out. And if I'm honest, I think next club he does manage, he'll be a lot better. I think he's gone away and worked on a lot of things as well when it comes to managerial wise. But one of his main things is like he always questioned why players can't do the things that he can still do today or what he's trying to get out of them. So, and like James said, he was the best striker. Like you can't judge him. You're questioning a man who was the best in that position.
But let me look big up Danny because he's got a good conversation going. I appreciate you tuning in. Let me say, Danny's opinion that Gyökeres is the better player and who we should go for, I have no problem with. And you're allowed to have a different opinion to Thierry Henry. That's absolutely fine. Thierry Henry, if he were owner of Arsenal, which he wanted to be at some point with Daniel Ek, might have sacked Arteta, and that might have been an error, or it might have been the right thing. I don't know. You're allowed to disagree with Thierry Henry's opinion. What I think you can't do is come and say, you all love to just waffle when we're discussing the opinion of an Arsenal legend who's probably the greatest Premier League striker of all time. I don't think you can attach the word waffle to that. I don't think you can just go, yeah, well, you guys just, you just love just chatting shit, basically. It's a very valid conversation brought by someone whose opinion on this particular area of the pitch, there's probably no opinion I see as higher for me.
Yeah. And every defender that's a great in the Premier League, they always go to Thierry Henry. They say they always.
Our kids are still saying, "I want to be Thierry Henry" till today.
Facts. I was there when Cecil Waterman scored and went up to him, said, "You're my idol, big man, Panama." Yeah, come on now.
Yeah.
Come on now. Anyway, let me not talk too much. Suj says, "Big up James and Cecil for your information." Cecil, Hong Kong does a good massage and stretch. Well, I'm fearful now of all massages and stretches, if I'm completely honest. Thank God they got rid of the screenshot that was on here because I was just looking to make sure no one popped up. I knew Ryan's in the back. Idris says, what does Arteta do with Havertz if when we sign a 9? Happy to keep Jesus to come off the bench. Oh, he found it. No, how is he that quick? Put it away, Ryan. I should put it away, but get it off. Happy to keep Jesus to come off the bench at left wing and unlock low blocks with his skill in the box. I mean, Jesus is very injury prone. I mean, they got a man. I think he might be really different off the back of this injury. I know we've had Timber come back and be superb, but it's the other knee. I don't know how he's going to be the same Jesus. I think we need to strengthen maybe twice in that striker area. So I'm rattle through these. Wayne says, because Most of these fans don't watch any of these players. They only hear rumors and watch highlights, then get stuck on one transfer. I don't know who's that's referred to, Alvarez or Gyökeres, because I was saying that fans are maybe brainwashed a little bit. Let me, Dare, thank you for your super chat. And then J Federer J, a regular here, says we drew or beat Liverpool, Man City,
Chelsea, Newcastle, Villa, Forest over 2 games. By top 7. Our big problem is low blocks. Yeah, I agree. We need technical ballers in. I couldn't agree more. I completely agree with that.
Yeah,
big games aren't our problem. I know we lost to Newcastle quite a few times, but that's not. Yeah, we can fix that.
It's the low blocks. Dutton says Gyökeres musty come to Arsenal. Yeah, I still wouldn't mind Gyökeres. And then lastly, Danny says, never question him as a player. I don't need to be a former striker to see that Victor is the clear option.
No one said you questioned him as a player, Danny. People are saying you questioned. You said we were waffling. That's what you said. I don't know if you got the super chat there.
I haven't rid of it. Sorry.
Right. No, it's cool. You said, you guys are just chatting, you're basically just waffling for the sake of it, is basically saying, is what you're saying. And I said, I have no problem with the opinion that Gyökeres is better. I have an issue with you saying that we're waffling on an opinion given by one of the best strikers in Premier League football. And then you said, yeah, but what does he do as a coach? And it's like, but let's look at what he did as a striker. That's the point, Dan. It's all good. It's a good conversation. It's a good little debate. You want Gyökeres, and to be honest, it looks like that's where we're going. So it looks like Arsenal agree with you.
Wouldn't mind to see Gyökeres as well, but yeah, like you mentioned as well. I mean, there's other options, and I kind of had a bit of revelation just as we come to the end here. Yeah, this was the original super chat.
Yeah, so you'll just love to hear yourself talk all this waffle. Oh, come on, that's just
right, people. As the game is ready playing, and I was supposed to be off before it started, but James, thank you very much for joining us. And I am
going to let
me clear that now. But yeah, the conversation was very clear throughout this live. I mean, Thierry Henry wants Alvarez. I had a revelation in the sense that I am so fixated on getting Gyökeres. Obviously, I want Isak. We're not going to get Isak, but I want it. But then the next best thing for me was Gyökeres. But is there another option like an Alvarez, that false 9, even though he's scored a lot of goals, he's actually a pretty good 9. And every time he stepped in for Haaland, he seemed to score. I remember actually when he was at City, I was worried more when Alvarez was there, when he started. So is that another option where you look at, maybe I should be looking at different profiles of number 9s that we could be looking at, instead of just doing this whole, we need a big physical striker because I want one? I don't know. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe we aren't wrong. We're going to find out, I'm sure, by the summer window, once it opens, the transfer window, which opens, I believe, it's the 1st of June. And people, I saw someone ask, when is Transfer Daily coming back? Hi, and welcome back to Transfer Daily. That is coming back on Monday, I believe, or Sunday. No, Sunday's the 1st. So I think the first episode will be on Sunday. Robbie will be back giving you Transfer Daily. It might start early. It may be before Sunday, but I'm going to go with Sunday. From what I know, the transfer window opens as well on the 1st. So that is when you'll see Robbie return on Transfer Daily, and you'll be getting all the rumours to players that could potentially be signing for Arsenal throughout the summer.
Oh, Betis has scored.
Betis scored. No, this is all right, people, listen, I love you all. I need to go and watch this game. Enjoy the rest of your day. James,
oh, what a finish.
Take care.
Hi, we've teamed up with UK Auto Claims to see if you could be eligible to score thousands in compensation. If you've had any cars, vans or motorbikes on finance between 2007 and 2021, go to ukautoclaims.co.uk to start your free simple check. Loads of you will have overpaid and payouts could be worth thousands, so you've got to look into it. Hit up the link below and check now for free.